Hello and welcome to our Let's Play of MotoGP 20. This is Rich from Intermittent Gaming, and we're going to be having a look at some of the new and wonderful things that MotoGP 20 has to offer. I'm going to start off by saying that I haven't played loads of MotoGP games in the past, but I have dabbled here and there. But I've heard very good things, or actually had very good things about MotoGP 19 last year, and had a dive into that maybe about, let's say, 7 or 8 months ago, and thoroughly enjoyed myself despite being absolutely terrible at the game. One thing that I've really enjoyed, actually no, I'll get into the game properly, but there's a lot of new and improved features here that seem quite small but just make for a bit more of an immersive experience. So I'm going to go ahead and fire it up and we'll take a look. Okay, so what you can see first of all here is we've got a few different modes. We've got the quick modes if you just want to jump in and basically have a race at kind of MotoGP 20 level, just kind of jump in there and get straight onto the track. We've got the career mode, which is returning but is a bit more fleshed out, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Multiplayer, both online and I think offline. Actually, although I haven't tried the offline, so I'm just going to go for definite online. Not sure about whether it has couch co-op as well. I'm not sure that it does. If I click onto this, let's have a look. No, I think we're all just online. I thought it was, but then I had a sudden thought of, hang on a second, could this be also some couch co-op here as well? But no, you can create private matches or you can just play in public lobbies. I'm not going to jump into that right now though. They've also got historic mode, which if you are a big fan of MotoGP and the history behind that, there's lots of things. It's not hugely fleshed out, but it's an interesting little addition really. It's certainly not going to be the main attraction. But yeah, as it says there, you can kind of choose your favourite veteran rider and experience a bit of the MotoGP magic through their eyes, I suppose. Right, so one thing that has had for me at least, a big overhaul is the customization. Now, I can't take you through, well, I suppose I could have deleted my save and started again. The actual rider, when you first boot the game, it does let you create a character, a persona if you like. However, that kind of character creation aspect of it is very limited. The most interesting aspect about it from my point of view is the fact that I did have the option of male and female riders, but then the number of kind of preset faces and that kind of things is super limited. And at first, when I kind of was filling this in, I thought, wow, it's a little disappointing, it's a little bit kind of thin on the ground. Of course, in that moment, forgetting that all of the racing takes place, or the vast majority of it is, it's your bike, it's your clothing, it's your helmet, it's, you know, that's what we're going to be able to customize. And thankfully that is a lot more robust compared to previous offerings anyway. I mean, compared to other customization options in video games, this is not an RPG. You're not going to be able to get in there and customize everything to the nth degree, but you can customize to some extent your rider. As you can see here, you've got lots of things here. This is just a generic one here. There's a lot of things that are kind of locked off, as in if you're racing as a specific team, and logos and things, that they're kind of in place, but you can mess around a little bit with some tweaks in there. But you can make quite a few changes to if you're, you know, your custom character, particularly in career mode. There's a lot of that stuff that you can kind of get into. Very nicely realized visuals on the customized. Well, you can see there the helmet that the rider is wearing there is one of my custom designs. If you are an American football fan also, as well as a MotoGP fan, you can probably recognise. That was one I just sort of when I was first playing around, just kept it very, very simple. Just sort of thinking, okay, fair enough, I'll put some of my own decals on. And then later on I came back and got into it a little bit more, and as I say, if you're an American football fan, which I am, and a big fan of the Minnesota Vikings, so I had a go at kind of creating a Minnesota Vikings style helmet there, including the front. You see I've tried to go for the kind of mouth guard look to it as well. It's not perfect, but it was quite good fun, just kind of digging into the creation tools to sort of create that NFL helmet vibe, and it's quite nice actually. I do think that and that's quite limited as well. Like I haven't used a huge amount of layers there, but if you want to get into it, if you want to actually start making hugely detailed helmets, there's a lot of layers and a lot of options, a lot of shape options, which I'm sure some people are going to get really, really far more creative than my helmet made to look like a helmet that we've got there. You can also customize your number, as you can probably just about see on the front of my bike there. I had to go at making a 13, which is my lucky number, precisely because it's very unlucky for a lot of others. You can do slight customizations to things like gloves. I'll just drop you into here. So if you see here, there's a few different styles of gloves, but then once you're actually into that particular gloves, let's change up the gloves here, we can then kind of make some different adjustments to the overall colors. Again, it's not a huge amount of customization on the gloves themselves, but when you actually start to put everything together, you do certainly get a flavor of ownership over it. So obviously the kind of suit that you're wearing there, that one's very much kind of based or true to life, real life one. But when I go into career mode later on, you'll see some of the changes that I've made to the actual rider suit as well, and of course the bikes themselves. One thing I haven't had chance to, although I've uploaded stuff I've created, I haven't actually gone in to search online content, and I'm just curious to see if there is some interesting helmet designs out there that people have made. Now obviously, as this game is primarily, it's going to be looking at appealing to fans of MotoGP, and you know, enthusiasts and people looking for the kind of, what's the word, simulation aspect of this game, which has been quite light in some ways in the past, but he certainly has made, I think, some leaps forward in this year's iteration. But you can see we've definitely got some people who have been out there trying to create some things that are very much kind of based on the actual helmets that actual riders wear. Oh, I've got some great ones here though. This is nice. Classic stars and stripes, that's nice. Yeah, there's some fabulous looking things. I haven't seen any of the any more American football themed ones. Just trying to look here whether I don't really know how these are selected, how these are chosen, because I know I've shared mine, and you can see here that some of the people that have uploaded, you can see their names and stuff, but there doesn't appear to be an obvious way to actually search for something like a to search the tags. You can see there you've got tags on like original, hashtag race, but actually there doesn't seem to be a huge or obvious way to actually search that. Maybe I missed it. No, it's in there. Let's have a quick look at the numbers too. Some interesting, actually some much nicer. Yeah, one thing I would say about my another 13, someone else digging that number, which is good. One thing I would say is, because when I was making my number 13 decal or sticker for the front of my bike, I actually didn't know what scale it was going to work at, so I've ended up making mine quite small. Actually, let's jump into, so you can have a look at the creation tools using this sticker. So Oh, maybe I actually need to be into the game proper to get into the customization. I don't need to actually go into numbers. Yeah, so if I go into the numbers or helmets or rider team, you can actually start to create some of your own stickers. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a new project rather than editing a previous one. I'm going to make a new number 13. I'm going to stick with 13 because it's my jam, it's my number, but just to basically show you how some of these creation tools work. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and add a layer. So this could be the background of your number or background shape or whatever it is you want. But again, you can layer these as much as you want. If you have a look across the top there, there's lots and lots of different shape options, and you can just sort of build it up as much or as little as you want. And then we get into a lot of these. Some of these are just letters, but then there's other fonts that have got letters and numbers in, like so. And you can see as well we've got some quite cool different variety of sticker based on animals and things. You know, the slashes across the background. We've got Roman helmets and a variety of animals and things there. But I'm not going to use that. Oh, I do quite like some of these colours though. So what I am going to do though is I am going to work at a little bit bigger this time than I did last time with my very, very simple looking 13 that I made before. Let's get one of these mouths in there. Actually, that looks pretty cool. So I'm going to start with this. So now it's letting me choose the colour that part of the sticker is going to be. So it appears to be choosing both colours at once for me, which is interesting. So I can choose, if I choose the tongue colour, that's really strange. Why is it, so it keeps it red, but then it's changing the teeth colour there. Can I select just one of the colours I'm going to change, or do I have to do both? I don't know, it's not red. Anyway, the point is, once we've selected a colour, so I'm just going to keep it the kind of red-yellow mix there. Now I can also do things like change the size, so I can scale this up massively, which I didn't do last time because I just didn't know how much room that my sticker was going to take up. Turned out not very much. So I'm going to work a much bigger scale. The blue flashing there isn't an error on your screen. That's just telling me which part of my design I'm currently editing. If I move it, it stops doing, but it needs something to let me know, so it just flashes. If I press to print it, that kind of puts it on, and then, you know, if you want to have things, it lets me know which bit I'm editing, I'm moving. So it just means that you can overlap things, or if you wanted to, say if I wanted to rotate this round and make my own version with like top teeth or something, which I'm not going to do actually. I'm going to switch the go back and I'm going to switch the stickers now. So yeah, so that's my first layer down. I can go back and I can edit that one, or I can add another layer on top. So this time I'm going to hop straight into my, I found one of these fonts that's got the numbers on. Yeah, this one I'll do. And I'm just going to put in my number 1 that's going to be of my 13. I can pick a starter colour, don't worry too much about it if you don't, you know, if you forget or whatever, you can edit these ones afterwards just as easily. Let's see what we'll go. Purple. No, I don't want it too. I'll just make it a nice. I'll make it a nice light blue for now. Because I'll show you what I'm going to do with it in a second. And again, I'm going to increase the size of this somewhat and place that on one side of the tongue. There we go. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to take a second one of these. I'm going to create like a shadow or a bit of depth effect on it there. So you can see I've got so I'm starting to look a little bit like late 80s, early 90s, right? It reminds me of Saved by the Bell or something like that. So yeah, so however you might want to do that, I'm going to maybe go to the yellow for this, similar yellow to the teeth, a bit deeper. There we go. So let's have that on there. And then it's the colours changed, and I just need to print it on top. So once I'm happy with where I've placed it, let's just make it a little bit. Oh, I could go that way now. No, I'll keep it this. So yeah, so it's surprisingly versatile, even within something just like sticker creation. which for me is really nice. So you can see I've got 3 layers now, because as I put on the second one, it's printed a new layer. I'm going to add a new layer because I'm actually going to change the number that follows it up. I've forgotten which font I use now. Just kind of hammered a load of them across until one came up. So this one? I think it was this one. This one I'll do. Okay, oops. Yeah, colour first. So again, I'm going to do the same thing, kind of go for the light blue, and then boost that size. Get that in place. And then I'm going to do the yellow one over the top again. So, printed the first one, I'm going to print the second one. Again, I'm just kind of very, very quickly dashing through this just to give you a bit of a flavour or a taste for how it works. Because it's an aspect of the game I've quite enjoyed, and haven't spent a lot of time, haven't invested a lot of time into looking at the kind of creation tools on previous MotoGP games. It's been very, very, very thin on the ground. So for me, just creating particularly before I went into the career mode, just creating something that felt like it was an aspect of it was mine. You can't alter and change everything, but you can have a bit of a play around. Anyway, that'll do for now. It's not the most glorious one you'll ever see, but it'll do. So when we come back to here, once we've got a few things in place, but you can see the layer list goes on and on and on. You can add quite a lot of different layers, different sizes, different shapes. It says there you can see as I can switch the background color if I want as well. If I want it to stand out, I want it to be able to say a bit more. Cut, copy, paste, all that kind of thing. But the main thing we want for now, just because I'm going to keep it simple, get back into more of the game, we're going to hit options, which will save my sticker. And now you can see there it is. I'm just going to put that on there as another number 13. And when you do this, when you create anything, in fact, it will then give you the option that when you save it, you can, if you wish, you don't have to, but you can share, you can continue to edit, you can exit, or you can share it. And as you say, if you share it, it can be used in both local and online competitions, allowing other players to download and like it. So here's where you can put the tags in here. So I guess particularly if you are gonna invest some time into creating your own things, just make sure that your tags get right. The tags don't seem to go a huge amount of detail, and as we've just shown you, that doesn't appear to be possible to share. No, it is possible to share, but it doesn't seem to be possible to search for particular tags when you're looking for something to download. There's a few more than I realised there, but yeah, there's nothing, even just something as simple as number, but I suppose you get it from the number 13. Anyway, I'm going to put it in, it's got a kind of cartoony vibe, and I'm going to share a new item. And you can do it with everything. If you're creating a new, I'm going to apply that to my bike. If you're creating a new number, if you're creating a new helmet, if you're creating a new rider sticker, or anything like this, you can always save it, and you can always then share it with someone else. Share it online. And I think, like I say, I don't know if it's a case of if you see, maybe it's once you get into the online and you're racing with other people, you can actually then see, I'm racing against someone online, I really like that design on their bike, and I want to download a copy of it. Maybe you can do it through that way. But at the moment, as you see, if I do want to go and I want to download someone else's customization, then there isn't a way to search for it. I'm just clicking on this add-ons because I haven't actually looked into this. When I was playing it before, this hadn't popped up. So here we go. We've got VIP multiplier pack and a historical pack. So I'm guessing that these are, yeah, take me to the PlayStation Store. So if you're really heavily invested in this game and you want even more to play around with, you want multiplier credits to earn more credits, reputation and research data, then you can download those things as well. I am not going to do that. What I am going to do though is I'm going to jump into career mode. I mean, I'll show you quick mode very, very briefly. Again, you can just do Grand Prix, time trial where you're racing on your own, or go through a whole new championship. It's fairly standard fare. You pick a rider of the existing riders and then you go through it. However, what I opted to do instead is look into the career mode, and I'm just going to show you through some of the aspects of the career mode that I found quite interesting, and then we'll get on and we'll do a little bit of racing where most people will drop out of the video because I am terrible at racing. I'm terrible at racing on most games, but I'm particularly bad on MotoGP. Now, things that I do quite like that I've really enjoyed looking into on this, and again, I'm not going to pretend that we've not got role-playing game depth here, but we do have some aspects of it that they've just put a lot more in to kind of giving the feel of like this is a career rather than just here is a set of races. So, first of all, it starts off with your personal manager. I've taken the personal manager of a chap called Samuel Hood. It tells me there what his kind of positives are. If I click on him, you can see there that he's good at, he's C graded overall, he's good at salary negotiations, even better at negotiation bonuses, but not actually brilliant at contract searchability. We've also got, I can search for a new contract and look at any received proposals, which at the moment I have none. But it's quite cool. You can, as you can see there, I've got the option to dismiss or replace him. So you can, if you want, particularly if you are of a role-playing mindset, you can get into kind of thinking about your interaction, you know, and having your personal manager. It doesn't provide a lot of background or a lot of story for you. You can kind of click into it and get some info, but it is basically telling you what his job is, and then you get his stats, and that's kind of it. But that's okay. So as you move further on, as you move further through the career, you'll get more chances to sign with different personal managers, if you wish, that will have higher grades and things, because this is, I think of it in terms of, I've started right back at MotoGP 3 here, so if I progress through this to MotoGP 2, I'll probably start getting some personal managers at B grade, and maybe even some A grade, and then as we get into MotoGP B, that's where we'll see more A grade and S grade. At least I'm pretty sure that's how it works. What I would have liked, what would have been good to see, is if your managers themselves could actually progress a bit more, so that as you make your way up through Moto 3, 2 and MotoGP, that they can come with you. You don't just have to ditch them for the better model, for the next, the newer, shinier personal manager. But that's just me. And in a way, that does sort of stop you, it does inhibit your chance to get more personally invested in the kind of personal management. But as I say, it's not trying to be a role-playing game. It's not an RPG. It's not simulating things to that extent. But it is making some efforts into kind of letting you have a bit of a taste of that, a bit of a feel of it. We've also got technical staff management. Okay, so you've got your chief engineer and your data analyst. These guys I have replaced. I've stuck with my my personal manager that I first signed with, but these guys I have looked for improvements as I've gone along a lot more. I mean, this is a save right early on. I'm only 10 weeks in at this point, but already I know I can remember that I'd already been replacing them, and I continue to do so as I went through my first go at a season. But yeah, it's quite interesting as you look at the different advantages and disadvantages to your chief engineer and your data analyst. But what does this all really mean? Well, it comes down to this bit, the research and development. So here you can actually, as time goes on, the better your staff is, the better your research and development team gets, the more you can start to invest your research points into different aspects. So you can see at this point I'd upgraded small parts of the engine, and I'm working towards trying to, you know, this next kind of point for development will be reduced airflow turbulence during the airbox. So you can see there in the middle there it says requirements. I need 500 research and development points. Currently I've got 150 built up, and then it's the improvement will be greater maximum power, You can see on that one as well, improved delivery. And you build up. These ones at the side here are kind of optional. Once I've upgraded this one, I can upgrade that one. Once I've upgraded those two, I can move on to these, and on and on. How long it takes something to develop is all down to how many staff you have on it. So you can see there I've got 8 of 12 staff that were developing my last upgrades. Those two have both been installed already. Same with the frame, I've made some slight upgrades there as well. And again, I'm a little bit low on research points to invest at the moment. It's very simple, very basic on how we get these. So you can see here, week 10 I can go, I think this is probably my first race actually, so I can go to the race, and when I move on the calendar it'll move me to my next race. If I don't have a race the following week, it moves me on a week of the 52 of the year, and every week you will either build up research points, or if you have spent them, if you've put the research right team, I want you to research this area, depending on how many people you put on it at once, it will take that many weeks for it to be researched and then installed on your bike. So I think we had about 9 weeks of preparation before the first race of the season, and so I spent that time making sure that I was putting some research in and developing some aspects of the bike right from the off. You can take more time and build it up slower. You could have multiple projects being researched at once, but it will take more weeks to kind of create and change each one. Okay, so here's what I was mentioning earlier, the customization. So this is my customization. So my bike, you can see a lot of the decals and things are in place first of all, but I select the colours. Again, if you're an American football fan, I went very much for the kind of Minnesota Vikings motif, purple, white, and a little splash of yellow here. Same on my rider as well. You can see I've gone very much primary and secondary colours are purple and white, and then the tertiary colour of yellow, just to match the helmet that I'd made. Just a bit of fun, just to see what I could actually do with it. Same with the team, that's where you can make changes to your bike as well. Nice things like just having the purple alloy insides on your bike that I thought was quite nice. Just gives you a little bit more ownership over your team. Okay, so let's jump into some racing. Before I do that, so go to Grand Prix of Qatar. Now, what they've added, or I believe they've added, compared to previous entries, certainly compared to some of the older ones, is that you've now got practice sessions, qualifying, warm-up, and then race. If you want to make this like a proper race weekend would be, you can take the whole weekend on it if you want. You can see at the bottom there you've got the options as well. So you've got free practice 1, where you can develop and check the kind of thing like the fuel consumption on your bikes, and you can also check the how the tyres will wear over time, which is quite useful information. Just lets you kind of practice. You don't get to refuel in MotoGP, I'm sure you know that already, so really you're looking for the optimum balance of fuel, tyre degradation and things. So if you want, you can put time in and spend time practicing and all that kind of jazz. You can select the things that you want or you don't want as well. So if you see up here, I can click these on or off, so I could skip free practice 1 or skip free practice 2, skip them both and just do the Saturday sessions, which I think is really nice. I can skip all of that and just have the 2 qualifiers, warm up and race. Or if you want, you can see there, hit triangle, and it'll just take me straight to the race. So I really liked how versatile that was with in terms of how much practice you want to put in if it's a track you're unfamiliar with, or you want to warm up on race day, that kind of thing. Those options are all there. If you put it all on and still click triangle, it'll take you straight to the race anyway, so you don't have to worry about too much of that. But if you want to customize your race weekend, you can do. Now, I'm going to take you onto the bit where we'll lose a lot of you here, because I am not great at MotoGP games anyway. I will confess to playing on a very low skill level. I think the more competent racers amongst you will find the low skill level is quite easy, although I know that the update is supposed to have been done some balance. I haven't tried it since the update because it only went live this morning, but the easy modes for most people, the easy modes for most people means that you, particularly in MotoGP 3 and 2, you will, if you know how to ride the bikes, if you're quite a confident, maybe you're a veteran player, you'll probably leave the other bikes in your dust very easily. If you are a veteran player and you're playing on the harder skill level and you're racing in MotoGP proper, it's very hard. It is incredibly difficult to keep up pace with the other riders. None of that is really relevant for me because I am so terrible, particularly with these new brake mechanics, that I thought I'd got the hang on to some extent on MotoGP 19, but it's been revised. I think it's much more simulation now, which unfortunately for me means that I am straight back to square one, and I am absolutely terrible at the racing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight into the race anyway, and I'm going to show you how truly awful I am, because the entire team, every racer on the track will leave me in their dust. I can barely stay on the bike. I'm used to the kind of F1 style, and I suppose earlier MotoGP style, of you can just gun it, sharp brake into the corner, tear off as you turn. You can't do that on this, and I haven't got the hang of it, which I think, to be fair, is much more true to life. It's much more, like I said, it's much more simulation based now, which is a good thing for those sim fans. For the arcade racers amongst you, or the truly awful racers like me, it is very, very difficult. You want to keep to the race line, and you want to get your braking
looking forward to great weather for the race.
Just slight. You want to just kind of slow down, not smash the brakes into the corners, because you come off the bike very, very easily. As you'll soon see, I am sure. But I'm going to persevere.
Here we are live from the Moto3 class starting grid, where riders and engineers
I've gone right back to
to
basics in the hopes that I'll. As you can see, actually, it's a fair point as well. My race goal is to make the top 10, which I won't do because I'm terrible. But it's not, the game, particularly at this level, it's not saying you need to get out there and win. As you progress further into it, you're expected to be able to do more and more and more, including, top 3 finishes, and eventually they're expecting the championship, they're expecting you to win. But yeah, at the moment, my race goal, which I will fail, is to get into the top 10. So you can see there, it says, as soon as I'm ready, I can go to the track, or I can speak to the track engineer and go change some options, head back to the career menu, check consumption. I'm just going to race and fail miserably. But yeah, it's also, they've added some sort of trackside stuff. The models, character models are, they're not great, let's be honest, but they're okay. As long as you don't spend too much time looking at them. These little bits, just a nice little touch of giving that flavour, and you've got the background noise, get a bit of a buzz. But yeah, it's not, it's not making for the most immersive experience, but it is a nice little touch, and they're trying, which is really nice. Okay, so, so you can see there, it's just doing my tyre and consumption check. So I am going to suffer degradation, but my tyre should make it through. Estimated range 5 laps, race length 5 laps. Hopefully we'll make through in one piece. What will probably happen is I'll come off the bike multiple times, and it will be really bloody embarrassing.
The Qatar Motorcycle Grand Prix will start shortly here in Doha, and the riders are ready to compete on an amazing illuminated racetrack.
One race before we finish it for today, so you can get a look at the feel of it. Graphically, it does look a lot better than previous entries. It's still not the prettiest game that you're ever going to see, but they've made improvements, I think, on previous entries. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking and just race because I'm bad enough anyway. When I talk, I'm even worse. It's really strange having to sort of swing back and right the bike myself, because obviously a lot of racing games you just ease up on the stick and it will take you back to facing straight forward. Not so with MotoGP. You need to take yourself into the turns and bring yourself out of them, which I'm not very good at. This is me genuinely trying to keep to the racing line as well. I am just this bad. Plus, you know, my bike at this point in particular is not... Oh, good lord. It's not particularly souped up. Doesn't have many advantages. Not that I'm suggesting that my competitors have got super duper bikes either. They won't do, but I'm just... If you're good at these games and you can keep tight to the racing line so that your turns are minimal and you right yourself quickly, you could destroy the competition. I unfortunately am just absolutely terrible. My main focus is usually trying to stay on the bike, which I'm pretty bad at. But compared to what I was like, which you didn't, I know you guys didn't see, because the embargo only lifted today, but I'm doing a lot better than I did when I first started, because I would have been off the bike 3 or 4 times by this point normally. I just can't keep pace with the AI. Actually, I think I'm probably back on normal mode here as well, but still, that's no excuse. I could put this on very easy and I would still suck as much. So a top 10 finish for me is going to be, I would say, well out of my grasp. There you go. I'm trying to get used to it, taking it very wide, but you've really got to try and bring that speed down a lot earlier than you think. Otherwise, you just come off the bike. Probably even too much as well, actually. I think that's part of my problem, is that I lean too much when I don't need to. Slow down far too much. Yeah, that one needs a bit more of a lean, and then I need to be coming out of it. So, but yeah, I'm still too much in that kind of F1 mindset. Well, I'm expecting the car to do a lot more for me. Sorry, I'm expecting the bike to do a lot more for me because the cars do. As MotoGP, as you'll know, is a hell of a lot harder. I'll just be happy if I stay on the bike, to be honest. Yeah, that's one thing as well, actually, that there isn't much of a tutorial mode on this either. It kind of does just throw you in at the deep end. I mean, you can do the practices and the free practice and the qualifiers and stuff, but there's nothing that's really sort of saying, like, here's how you need to approach it. If you're a big fan of MotoGP games, and particularly as with this one so much more of a simulator, MotoGP itself, you'll probably have a much better understanding of this anyway. Whether you can then execute it is that's down to you. I can't. I definitely can't. No, I'm still just going so wide. I think they're all finished. Oh no, second. Being a bit harsh on myself. But yeah, I just can't get the pace up at all. My best finish is still like 17th. And in that one, in fairness, a lot of the riders came off. There was a lot of crashes when I finished 17th. Some of the textures, particularly on the lower levels, this is Moto 3, don't forget, feel very outdated, and the look of the oh good lord, I'm just terrible. I'm making it look worse than it is. If you see competent people play it, it does look a lot nicer, but it is kind of hiding some weaker textures behind behind the speed, so they are exposed if you've got someone playing the game that's not very good at it. I should mention as well, actually, in fairness to the developers, I am playing on a base PS4. I don't have access to a PS4 Pro at the moment, and I know that the game runs at 60 frames per second, so it looks a lot smoother on PlayStation 4 Pro or on Xbox One X. You'd always get that coming through a stream anyway, but I should mention I am playing on a base PS4 model at the moment, not a Pro. I just can't do it. Maybe I am braking too early. I don't know. I'm trying to follow the racing line and the race colours, but I sort of got the hang of it on the arcade mode, not arcade mode, sorry, quick mode. But now I'm back down in the doldrums of GP3. Moto 3, sorry. I just I can't seem to get back into the groove at all. Doesn't matter, that's not what we're here for. I'm just here to try and showcase some parts of the game. Like I say, customizable. The animation of the rider, I think, is brilliant. It's gorgeous. And there are some nice details around the track, even if it does look in some ways like an old game. It's a much more of a simulation experience this time around. Which I think for enthusiasts, that's going to be a great thing. I know that's one of the criticisms launched in the past at earlier MotoGP games, is the sort of not really hitting that sim feel. I mean, that's what people wanted. It's not necessarily what I wanted, but that's down to me. That's down to my skill level or lack thereof at these games. I quite liked the sort of more arcadey feel of earlier MotoGP games, whereas this is definitely much more closer to your F1s, your Gran Turismos, your simulation-based games, basically. There we go, almost out of my misery. Oh, see, that was feeling like a better corner for a minute, and then I just lost it. I just cannot get the hang of this again. Oh, it's nearly nice again. I just lose it. Can't maintain. Can't keep tight to the line. Well, they need a new pad as well. This one does drift a bit, which is probably a bit more important on a game like this than it is on a lot of other games, I think. But yeah, you just need to be so consistent from the off, and if that's not you, you may find this quite difficult. as I think we're back on normal here anyway, but I'm this bad no matter the mode. Oh, I'm still on the bike. Not fallen off yet. I'm going to take some small solace in that. Here, slow it down, don't take it too deep. That was better that time, a bit, for me. Ah, lose it at the end every time. Now, in fairness, I promised you falls, which I've not had, at least not yet. Still not finished, though. And I haven't come off. Although I suppose that's because I've gone up to the quicker bikes in the arcade. Not the arcade, keep calling it arcade mode. In the quick mode. Through playing the championship, so I was keeping better pace. But I was also then falling off a lot, and these they definitely do feel slower, as they should. Okay, as I get round and out of this race, possibly get fired from my team, I'll show you some equally bad racing on the quick mode where you got so won't be racing more at pace, faster pace, and you'll be able to see, because there is a difference, I think anyway, there's a difference in the feel of it when you're on the MotoGP level. Because many people, although I would still recommend the experience of the, particularly if you're good at the games in the first place, of the career mode. I know a lot of people would prefer just to either race online or race using the quick mode and do time trials and GPs and that kind of thing. There we go. Celebratory music, even though the crowd
While the riders
has
complete
home.
their victory lap, let's take a look at the final ranking of the
See
Moto3 race.
Much further. This is about regular for me, so that's how far off the pace I was, which is insane. I'm not going to play again. I'm going to continue rather than repeating the race. It'll show me at the bottom of my championship. And then we'll hop out and we'll do one in the contract status at risk. Yeah, this all seems very familiar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out of that. I'm going to jump into the quick modes to show you jump into a new championship. Let's start. And we'll go for one of the higher end things, so what we're ultimately aiming for. I'm just going to go, I'm going to jump into race only. Although I would normally, and that's how generally that's how you improve. If you go through the practice, you start to get the corners, you start to get a bit more comfortable with it, you start to, and then you're not quite as embarrassed by your minute and a half behind the squad. But I'm just going to jump in just to give you a bit of a flavour for the look of things, and then you guys can go out and destroy my meagre efforts as I go and carry on making some helmets that look like American football helmets.
Greetings to all our viewers from the
Okay.
Here we are live from the MotoGP class starting grid, where riders and engineers are talking over the last few details before the start of the race.
Probably won't get to do a full race here.
Qatar Motorcycle Grand
we'll see.
Prix.
I might do. I might get a chance to do it. But yeah, to see. Here, everything just seems bigger, meatier. The look of it, just even when you go up to the top, like it looks better. Which I think, when you compare it with the GP3 offerings that we saw before when I started the career, it's really nice that it has such a different feel when you're at the top end. I still suck, but at the moment we're 30 seconds in and I can still see other riders, which, you know, is good. The feel, everything moves quicker, everything just feels a lot slicker, so it's really worth, if you want the speed, if you want the rush of it, you can. I meant to mention that before. Career-wise, there we go, that's my usual. Career-wise, you can just start and just do a MotoGP career. You don't have to start down in GP3, in Moto3. If you do, that's me sucking again. If you don't want to, you can. Oh, don't fall off! Don't fall off! Oh, I'm so bad at these games. Yeah, you can just jump straight to MotoGP and skip 3 and 2. I thought it was quite fun to start from the kind of most basic level, which I know is a popular approach for a lot of people out there as well. If I could just keep to the racing line. Ooh, a danger of falling off there. Nope, there we go, we're back on, So yeah, it's taken nearly 2 minutes for me to completely lose sight of all the other riders this time. And you can see why, because I just cannot stick to a racing line. I either come in far too deep and then go far too wide, but there we go. I knew there'd be a fall somewhere. I can do the rewind option if I want. I tend not to though. Just let my badness stand. Old school. But yeah, the look of it, the feel of it, like particularly on a night track like this, it's just got a much nicer, glossier feel. Texture's still not great, particularly on the tarmac. Oh my goodness! I could just commit to a corner. Yeah, subsequently the races in MotoGP, even when you suck, are over a lot quicker if you keep it on the minimal laps, like I've got it here. So a 6 lap, I'm so far behind. A 6 lap race in GP will be so much quicker than a 5 lap in Moto3. Oh, I'm going to come off again. But yeah, if you're prepared to spend the time with each track and get used to using the racing line properly, you'll do a heck of a lot better than I'm doing right now. Well, you'll probably do a heck of a lot. I built up some skills. I have captured some footage actually. I should try and share some of me looking marginally less rubbish. Like I say, still my best. We're talking, I finished 17th, and for me that was a good day at the office. on the track. And the speed to get to, and it does feels a lot different. I mean, we're pushing 300 now on a road that I was pushing 200 on last time. But as I also promised, I've had more falls. That's the downside for me. You can't brake too soon or too sharply because you come off. Can't accelerate away too sharply for certain reason. And if you slip out the back wheel. Right, I think I'm going to end my embarrassment there because I've also got some other stuff to do. But yeah, as you see, character models are gorgeous, but there is certainly something still to be said for the textures of the road. Although they are better than previous entries, they're still not great. So I say still not great. That's harsh. They're still not great compared to some of the kind of race game competitors. I know MotoGP doesn't have so much competition in racing, in the motorcycle racing games. Not much competition, so it's really down to them to push themselves forward. And I do think a lot of respect should be given to them for doing that with this entry. I'm making the game look bad because I'm terrible at it. Because primarily I know this about myself. I'm an arcade racer fan, really. You know, I grew up on the likes of Outrun and got into things like Burnout and that. So I've always enjoyed the sim races. I'm just terrible at them. Every sort of 2 or 3 corners that I take okay, and then follow it up with 3 or 4 bad ones and a fall. So it's just hard. But for the sim enthusiasts out there, I think there's a heck of a lot to like about this. And yeah, it does. The game feels like the environments are getting more expensive the further up you get in career mode as well, which is nice. Could they have gone a bit deeper on the RPG type elements and the development of the bikes and the hiring and firing of the staff? Yeah, they could have done, but they also could have left it out completely, and most people would have been satisfied. They've kind of gone for that somewhere in between. Oh, I'm gonna fall. I'm not. Which I quite like. I actually quite like those aspects of it. I think if they'd had that then couched in a bit more of an arcadey racer that I could cope with, for me that would have been ideal. But I don't think it's what the core fan base of MotoGP would want. The fact that I'm struggling so much on it, to me, usually means that they've actually put together quite a decent sim game. This feels familiar to me on things like, I mean, I'm not as bad at F1. I'm pretty bad still, but I'm not as bad. I can actually win on that from time to time. So you can't do it, you can't bail out of a corner like you can in a driving game. You can't think twice, you've got to hit your line, you've got to stick to it. And if you don't hit it, you're screwed, and if you don't stick to it, you're screwed. So I am often screwed. nice long straights. That's what I like. Well, I'm yet to be lapped, so I'm going to take some small solace in that fact as well. Although it may still happen. There's enough of this race left for me to get lapped. Especially if I fall off again. There we go. We've kept it, we've kept it. Okay. A bit of a wobble there. There. We're doing it that time. Winner, which means I'm going to be a good minute and a half behind again. Try not to fall for my last lap at the very least. Oh, that sucked. Thought I had it then. Standing up off the track. That's better, that's better, that's better. No, it's not. Still too wide. Way wide. Still on, still on. Oh, you see, I keep doing. Oh no, I've fallen on one thing. Ooh. So there we go. We can, if you wish, rewind. Get yourself back on your bike, and then play it again, and it'll sort of ease you into it. If you try and stay on. There we go. Usually I just fall off again. Oh no! Right past that means someone wants to lap me. This is not good. There we go. Absolutely terrible. Almost not lapped, so I'll back again.
Let's take a look at the final ranking of today's race.
There. Right, I'm going to leave it there today. Thank you for watching. Big shout out to those the developers and the publishers who were very, very kind enough to send me a early copy of the game for review or for a let's play. I am going to try and cut some footage together of me sucking a little bit less, but yeah, you can see from this I'm fooling no one. I am truly terrible at these games, but please do not take that to mean that there's an issue with the game. I genuinely am just that bad at the game. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to take another intermission. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.